Welcome, my dear students. This is your teacher, Dr. Usama Kashwa, and this is the first lecture in project management and in the other sciences which we have today this year, PMC 115, PMC 120, and so those also the topics which we have to talk about because all are common factors. We'll talk about the project management here. And let us first, we share the screen now. So let's go first for some of the definitions, like we said before, the definition of the project management. So it is defined as a project as the project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to produce ionic products, services, or results. Once we talk about, again, temporary means it's not everlasting. It has a time to start and a time to finish. Endeavor, it's a trial undertaken to produce a unique product, something new, building a project like will take a few years and be done, and so on, or services. So goods or services. So what are the difference between the goods and services? Goods are always tangible. You can touch it with your hand, but services are intangible. You cannot touch it with your hand. Goods can be stored. You can store the goods, but you cannot store the services. Services will never be stored. Also, goods, you want to buy a bottle of water, you go to buy it from wherever you find a shop seller, the closest convenience to you. You don't care about the aspects or the characteristics of the seller. Is the seller silly? Is he having sense of humor? Is he rude? You don't care about all this. You care about the product. So usually the product, we don't care about the product provider, but we care about the service provider. So we care too much about the service provider because service provider means one thing. When you, as example, when you go for a lawyer, you first ask about this lawyer. Is he good or bad? Is he good in his specification or no? So this is the point. So again, I will say the definition of project management, a temporary endeavor undertaken to produce a unique product, services, or results. So those are the differences between the product and services. Product, tangible, you can touch it with your hand, see it with your eye. Services, like what I'm doing now, is intangible. So you cannot see it, you cannot touch it, but you can feel its results. The second thing is that the product can be stored. You can store the products in the fridge or whatever, but services never to be stored. Can I take now what I'm doing and put in the fridge? Teaching is a service. Can I take it and put it in the fridge for a time, then take it back out of the fridge and give it to you guys? Impossible. So we have the goods, we have the services. And we said also that the goods are not related to the goods provider. So you don't care about who's selling for you the bottle of water. You don't care about who's selling for you a packet of cigarettes, but you care about service provider. When you go to a doctor, you ask about this doctor before you go to him. When you go to a lawyer, you ask about him before you go to him. For that reason, the services is related to the service provider, is binded into his name, his reputation, but the goods no. So this was the second point I want you to get here. A project is a problem scheduled for solution. So yes, this is another aspect of the project, that it's a problem scheduled for solution. Okay, not bad, not bad. A problem, yes, because it starts with trying to solve a problem. We want to make a building here. So the problem that the building is not there, but we want to build it. It's a project. Scheduled that we will do the ground floor today. We'll do the first floor tomorrow. We'll do the second floor day after tomorrow, and so on. So it is a project is problem scheduled for solution. Perfect. Those are some examples. I just want to see the margins. And also we would see now when we go to work breakdown and scheduling, we'll know what is the meaning of scheduling. What is the meaning of work breakdown? Project management is an application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to achieve project requirements. So this a definition of the project management. Now we don't say a project, we say project management. So we have now put the terminology of management. As long as we put the management, then we will talk about like what you see here now in front of you: knowledge, skills, tools, techniques, to project activities to achieve project requirements. What are the project requirements? We call it the deliverable. Deliverable means that you finish the project and deliver it to the end user. Okay, if you are doing a building, you will do the building as a project. Then at the end of a specific time, you will give it to the end user, or the owner of this building, or the owners of this building. If everyone is having one unit, he buy one unit. Okay. Project management is accomplished through the application and the integration of the project management process of initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, and closing. So those are the steps, and that's what we will see now. Start with initiating the idea and finding the problem, planning to get a solution, and trying to find out what are the possible solutions. Executing, we move into act. Monitoring is the control. We control the activities, which is monitoring and controlling are the same. And closing means you end the project, is done, and you have to deliver it into this person or the body to whom you have to deliver, or we call the end user. Okay. Here, I want to go out of the examples. I just want to go to the facts directly. The first rule of project management is that the people who must do the work should help plan it. Yes, because you cannot do any work without the participation of other people. You cannot do any work without the participation of the others. If the people did not participate in the work, then they don't believe in the work, then don't expect a work to be done. So the first rule of the project management is that the people who must do the work should help plan it. Plan. Why plan? Because plan is the most important managerial function. We are saying project management. So it's a managerial function. So it will start with planning, because the planning is the main activity by which other activities are built. You guys remember when we were talking about the functions of management, we said we have planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. That's what we said. Okay, so planning comes first, organizing, leading, and controlling. So organizing and leading and controlling all are built on planning. So planning comes first, after that organizing and leading and controlling comes up and away. Okay. We have also a leadership, and we will talk about leadership in project management. We will talk about leadership in project management. And we will know, what do we mean by leadership? Leadership is the art of getting others to want to do something that you believe should be done. By other meaning, the leadership is art. And you know the difference between the manager and the leader. The manager say, look at this. The manager say, hey, do this. The leader, no. The leader say, come, let's do this work together. The manager say, if you didn't do this work, there will be a deduction from your salary. we will cut out of your salary. That is the manager, because he depends on the rules and the structure of the organization and the policies and the acts. But for the leader, he depends on the love of the people. So people love him. He don't use the punishment. Never. The leader never use the punishment. Leader always use the incentives, the motives. So he would say, come, let's do all this together. When we do it, that will lead to the success of the project. But he will never tell you, if you didn't do this, it will cause a failure and I will deduct from your salary. Because simply, leader got no power to control over you, because he acquired the love, the power from the people's love and respect. It's based on his, I'm talking about the leader, it's based on his own proficiency, his own leadership, his own merits, his own skillful, because he's experienced it, so the people respect him because he has a long experience ago. Okay, that was about the leader. And the final thing, that the leader is elected by the people, but the manager is an organizational structure position. That means that he's hired and he's promoted and he's in the hierarchy of the organization. For that, he's in a place in the organization, a place in the structure. But the leader is not like this. Leader might be elected because the people love him, but the other is appointed. The manager is appointed. So this is the difference between the word leader and the word manager. Okay. What do you want to say that it is the project is success upon one thing. It is success upon the cooperation of the people together. A project will succeed based on the cooperation of the people together. How far they are sharing each other and having the participation. Actually, before this, we had a definition for the project management. And here, I will just again remind you with previous questions which we talk about. We'll say here just a question before we leave, and you can send your answers on the chat box. Here in the chat box, you can send your answers here on this chat box, unless we have it also in our own portal, D2L. But always, I will ask you, if I open the portal, I will tell you the portal is open, so answer the questions on the portal. But usually our answers will be here. Our first question today, what do we mean by project? There are two questions we have. And what do we mean by project management? The second question is the same question, but I will add the word management. The word management. So what do you mean by project and what do you mean by project management? And I will stay here for around 5 minutes to 7 minutes for the answer, getting the answer of these two questions. I will stop here and have the answer of these two questions. Cool, that's fine. What do you mean by project? And what do you mean by project management? And I will enlarge for you guys the font so that everybody can see and can see that. So what do you mean by project? This is the first question. What do you mean by project management? Second question. You can also ask Google it, search it on Google and find the answers here. Okay. Let us move on now. I will wait here for around 5 minutes to have your answers, my dears. So we are back to another part, and we have actually deal with this part before. This for you just to memorize and to refresh your memories about this actual part. So what is the meaning of PCTS, or the C will equals those three? So like here we see here now, we can say the sentence, and this is the CFF, FS. So the C will equals F times P TS. This is the function. So the C means that the dependent variable depend on these three things. That is the meaning of its function on these three things: function in the P, and function in the T, and function in the S. So what do we mean by this? That the cost of a project is a function of the performance, and time, and scope. That's what we call it, the triangle: performance and time and scope. Scope means the aim or the target on which we do. Also, you can look to them, all of them are interdependent, the PTS and C. Look at this here. The C, the P, and T and S. Here, the C and P and S and T. So it is a relationship. It is a relationship between them. Depends on the performance and the cost and the time and the scope. The four things are related to each other. So the cost is a function in the performance and time and the cost. Same likewise, if you see any other thing, they depend on each other. Each of them is dependent on the other, and they are also interacting. You cannot isolate the cost and the time, because time is cost. Simply, even that we know it in our own when we talk, time is cost. Scope means the end, the delivering, or ending, or the closing phase, or finishing the project. The scope, the project, the field in which you concentrate. So also this field depend on the cost, and depend on the time, and depend on the performance. So all those, the three are very related to each other. Some beliefs, what they think, what they say. Like as example, we have some beliefs, some people say some beliefs like what? Ideas. They say there is a higher probability that things will accidentally go wrong in a project than they will accidentally go right. So there is a probability that the things might go wrong. Like anything in our life, it doesn't go always steady. It doesn't go always steady. Sometimes it move into better, sometimes move into worse. We have all our ups and downs. Same thing likewise in a project. A project, if it is going like a smooth sailing, then everything will be fine. But you will face a lot of obstacles, a lot of problems that will face you, and you will face it, including all things like as example, changing of suppliers, a change in raw materials, any problem about the stock in the market, about any raw materials that you will need, and all of a sudden it's not there. Problems in the design, human errors. So nothing go exactly in a smooth sailing 100%, but things you have to expect that problems will happen. So that's what the sentence saying. There is a higher probability that things will accidentally go wrong in a project than that they will accidentally go right. So those as example, life cycle, a troubled project. I like the words, and like this document, this reference, and the reference there, this reference name is there on the portal for your use. So we start the project with project initiations, the ideas and those wild enthusiasm, okay? Disillusionment, then choice, then search for the guilty who is mistaken, punishment for the innocent, promotion for the non-participants, definition of the requirements. Look at this, how it goes. This is a troubled project because it goes in a wrong way. It goes in the wrong way because when we see now, when we compare this with the stages of the project, we know that these all very bad. Nothing from this should happen. Wild enthusiasm lead to disillusionment, lead to choice, lead to search for the guilty, who is guilty, leads to punishment of the innocent. The good people, they will be punished. And the bad people will be promoted, the non-participant. So you will punish the participants and you will reward the non-participant. It's the opposite of what it should be. And then definition of the requirements comes here, though the definition comes after the project initiations. All this go wrong, all the steps, this step, second step should be here after the initiation. But see how far things have gone. See how far things has gone. It's exactly like, I can just say this example looks like exactly when we talk about a problem, when we start talking like the family is talking or something, then we start talking about a topic, then it is ended in another field, far from what we started to talk about. No focus on the project stages. For that reason, look at this, I'm saying this is the initiation and the definition of the requirements. They come after this, this step, the second, this one, definition of the requirement comes after the initiations, like what you see. But see how many steps happened all the way inserted in between them. And all this will lead to continuous troubled project because it will never work by this way. This figure is very important because it includes the definition phases. Very, very important what we're doing here now. The first thing, the appropriate project life cycle, not like that troubled one, not like that troubled one which we saw just now. No, here we will work on the stages, which you'll find it in any book. Some of them make it 4 stages. Some of them make it 6 stages. Some of them make it 5. I believe 5 is very nice. Okay, the concept itself, the concept or the idea of the project. Marketing input survey competition. Okay, here the efforts expended in planning. So in this stage, in the concept, the planning is very high because this is a conceptual stage. Because simply you are planning for the initiates or the concepts, then the definition, define the problem, develop visions, write missions statements. So here you will put the object and the vision and the mission. What is the vision? It's like it sums up why I exist, why the project exists in 2 words. Then develop strategy, implementation plan, risk management, and we will have here about the risk management, we'll talk about it. Let me take it word by word. Develop a strategy. So what the word strategy, what do we mean by strategy? When we talk about strategy, we mean one thing, something of vital importance. Okay, your immigration decision to Canada is a strategic decision. You buy a car to work as an Uber driver on it, to make profits for you and your life and to run your life. This we call it strategic decision. You, as example, get married. This is strategic decision. Those all are strategic. Strategic means a very important decision. This kind of decisions, its frequency is very low. The frequency of these decisions is very low. You don't do this every day in your life. You don't marry every day in your life. You don't buy cars every day in your life. So the frequency of those kinds of decisions is very low. The planning. What do you mean by planning? So also let me say about the strategic, still I'm in the strategic, before I move to planning. So strategic only means of a vital important. Strategic means of vital important. Also, the cost of the strategic decisions is very high. How many times you'll immigrate to Canada? Just remember how much the cost to immigrate here, how much you cost yourself to come here, or to cost your family. The visa and the tickets and the visa, study visa and all this, and the fees and school fees, all this are costs. So the strategic decision, the costs are very high. Any mistake in the strategic decision will lead to a disaster. Everything will turn you upside down because you made a mistake in a strategic decision. Okay. If you bought a car with $40,000 and you had been cheated in this car, and it was very bad, the performance, and it was broken from the first week. So this failure will lead to a disaster because how many 40,000 you have? If you, the marriage decision is strategic decision, marriage decision. If you get married and you are not blessed in your marriage, this will lead to a life that is with a disaster. It will lead to a disaster in your whole life because this is a wrong a strategic decision, but it was wrong because the consequences or the result of these kind of decisions, the strategic, will lead to a disaster if it was formed in a wrong way. How about the planning? Planning means forecasting the future. Try to see how the future will be. How the future will be. It's like you are trying to explore how the forecasting the future, checking out about the future. So when you plan here, you plan to do the project. It's regarding the future. Okay, I have a project of a building. I need to build the house of my own 3 stories or 3 floors. So in that case, I will do a plan. A plan to build the ground floor, then a plan to move into the 2nd floor, then a plan to move into the 3rd floor. Okay. What about the risk? So the planning is that you are now taking a decision now regarding the future based on information you have from the past. So you plan based on information you have in the past regarding the future, and you take this decision now. That is the core meaning of planning. What about the risk management? We have it practically. Risk is the gap between the standard or expected results and the actual results. So you will tell me what the meaning of this. I will tell you. I planned to produce 10 cell phones. I planned to produce 10 cell phones. But actually, I produced 4 cell phones. Instead of 10, I only produced 4. So I planned 10, this is the standard. And the actual results are 4. 10 minus 4, that will give me 6. Then the risk is 6. The gap between the planned and the actual results. We call it the risk. Risk depend on many variables. We will see it when we are working. We will see that we have many variables by which the risk depends. like the environment, the nature, states of nature and the environment, all this around you. Okay, notice that most of the planning was in the concept. Definition, slide, the planning curve went down. The planning itself also, the developed strategy and the permission, because it was clear here. So here it is just explanation for, this is the basic. For that reason, the curve of the planning here is very high. Then execution, once you plan for the building, you put your designs and architecture, and you brought architecture, and you start working on the building, and he put the plans and the designs. Till the moment we are just thinking, no more, no action, nothing happened. But now in the execution stage, we will start to move. In the execution stage, we start to move. Do all work, monitor progress, corrective actions. Here, the execution. While we are working in the building, we are also moving forward. We started the first ground floor, then we moved to the second floor, then we moved to the third floor, and so on. So what? So the movement will let us check what we planned for and what is the actual results. And we will take, if there is a gap between them, then we will take a corrective action. As example, the stage of the concrete, to put the concrete, it takes 3 days. Now 5 days passed and we are not yet done. Then we have 2 days extra than what was planned. We should finish in 3 days. We finished in 5 days. So we have 2 days extra. Then we'll look for corrective action so that this will not be repeated in the second floor and the third floor and so on. So the corrective action is there when we compare between the actual results and the standards or the expected results. Close out. Close out, the building is done. The building is done. And it has to be delivered into the owner for whom we built this building. So the contractor or the developer should finish the building and give the keys to the owner. This is the close out or the finishing. So listen, learned and review, and the final reports are here, and we will see later on what this means in more details. Now I'll say here, the third question today, and we'll go for it. What are the, then Control and V, appropriate project life cycle, or what is the, and one thing more, I will go here and make it like here and come and put it like this and put a question mark. And for you, my dears, here it is, question. Here we go. Then we will stop in this question right now, for it's highlighted for around 5 minutes to have the answer. And the answer, like you see, it's here in this curve. What are the appropriate project life cycle? What is the appropriate project life cycle? And here is the answer of the 5 stages. And I will leave you around 5 minutes here to have your answers, please. Please, again, send your answers on Google Chat, on the chat box here. Send your answers here. Thank you so much. And here we go. So we are back. What is the appropriate project life cycle? And we are back for this part. Okay. So the next thing we will talk about, the word strategy. I told you what do we mean by strategy. Of a vital importance that something will happen and it is very, like the frequency of this kind of decisions is very, is not too much, and the strategic decisions. But strategy as a whole, when we talk about strategy, we say business strategy. The relationship, we come from first the goal, then strategy, then policies, then programs and rules and procedures. So here are steps of managing a project. This is what we need. First of all, we define the problem. The first step, define the problem. Develop a solution option. You will put a solution option. Plan to the project. The plan is telling where I am, where I want to go, how to go there, what must be done, how will it be done, who will do it, how it will be done, when, how much it will cost, and how do we need to do it? What do we need to do it? So those questions are the main questions when you plan the project. Again, I would say, what must be done? By other way, the WHs. You serve the WHs. What must be done? Who will do it? How it will be done? When it must be done? How much will the cost be? What do we need to do it? So all these are the steps of doing the project. Okay. Execute the plan. How we will execute the plan? How will we execute the plan? Execute the plan. Once we done for plan the project, then we start execute this plan. We'll execute it. Execute it means move into action. Then monitor and control the progress. Are we going based on what we planned? Are we on targets? Are we on the right path? If not, what must be done? If there might be correction actions to be taken, so what we will do? Then finally, close the project. What was done well? What should be improved? And what else did we learn? In closing the project, you already delivered the project into the end user. And you still have those questions for yourself as a feedback. What was done well? What should be improved? What else did we learn? Those are the things which you care about. And those are the steps of managing a project. And this is very important question. Steps for managing the project. Here we go for our fourth question today. What are, and the most important question till the moment, the steps in managing project? What are the steps in managing project? Okay, here we go. What are the steps of managing a project? So those are the steps of managing our project. Okay. Okay. Like we said before, those are our steps for managing the products we'll move now to another topic that's called project quality management. Project quality, we care about the quality in each stage of the project life. We care about the quality. Quality means the standards. We move according to the standards. When we talk about project quality, includes both quality assurance or planning to meet quality requirements of the standards and quality control. Steps taken to monitor results to see if they confirm of requirements, and of course, to take correction action. What about the project human resource management? What is the project human resource management? Project human resource management, often overlooked in project, involves identifying the people needed to do the job. Simply, who will do this job? And what are their qualities? And how they work. Project communication management, this is the third. What do you mean by the communication? The flow of information from the sender to the receiver and vice versa. Project communication management involves planning, executing, and controlling the acquisition and dissemination of all information relevant to the need of all project stakeholders. So this is about the project management. Project risk management. Risk is what is happening in the environment, or by other meaning, the hazard, or the dangerous, or the difference, the gap between expected results and real results. Project risk management is the systematic process of identifying, quantifying, analyzing, and responding to the project risk. It includes maximizing the probability and consequences of possible events and minimizing the probability and consequences of adverse events. So we will see a part about how to deal with the risk in a project, and we'll know how to deal with the risk in the project. Project procurement management. This is what the final thing. Procurement of necessary goods and services for the project is the logistic aspects of managing a job. Project procurement management involves deciding what must be procured, issuing a request for bids or quotation, selecting vendors, administrating contracts, and closing them when the job is finished. Again, involved what? Deciding what must be procured, issuing requests for bids, issuing requests for bids or quotation, like the purchasing of raw materials. In simple, purchasing, I need steel, I need cement, all those. Selecting vendors, whom I will buy from. Administrative contracts, who in the contracts will afford me what I need of supplies, and closing them when job is finished, and ending the relationship in this project and the people whom are the parties which I deal with when the project is done. So that was a main points regarding the project management, and we have here 4 questions. I will look now, we'll look for them, for the answer of them. Project management is not just planning, rework, scheduling, or controlling. The problem with being a working project manager is that in a conflict between working and managing, you don't know what priorities to set. Your boss will think you are slacking off. There will never be enough time to do both. The work will take precedence and managing will suffer. The PM book Guides refer to the body knowledge identified by PMI as needed by project manager to be effective, a test administered by PMI to certify project manager, an acronym for a special kind of risk analysis like EFMEA, failure mode and effect analysis, none of the above. Project scope defined as a project manager's visibility to the end date, the managers or size of the job, how often a project has been changed, and the limits of a project manager's authority. Maybe those questions are difficult to work through, or maybe it will need some thinking. That's why I find this book is very amazing, because it's including also the answers which we need. So here, looking for these answers. Here we go, chapter 1C. Let us take those four like this, Control and C. CDAB. So it is CDAB. Question CDAB. Okay, let's go back to where we came from and quickly let us see the end of chapter 1. Just remember today what we talk about. Still, we are missing one question, which is very important. This is C. So for scheduling, this is the answer here. And this is D, the work will take precedence in the managing will suffer. The problem that the work will take precedence and the managing will suffer. CD. Then the third one is A, the body knowledge of identified. And the fourth one, project scope defines as B, the magnitude or size of the shop. The project scope defines the magnitude or size of the job, and this was B. So here we have the answers. Nevertheless, the question which I was telling you just now about the steps, those very important, the steps in managing a project. Steps in managing a project: define the problem, develop solution, plan the project, execute the plan, monitor and control progress, and close the project. That was the last one. Sorry, close the project. Those are very important, like with steps in managing a project. And we had a question here about steps in managing the project, and that was the final question for today for chapter 1. So here we go now. This is the questions of chapter 1. Shall leave you in peace and see you on the next lecture. From me to you, all the respect and love, my dears. Have a very good night. Bye-bye, everyone.